August 2021 was the Taliban's second conquest. The first Taliban regime came in September 1996 and was among the most regressive in modern history. Women were removed from public life. Jobs were scarce. Law and order was non-existent. How different is the new Taliban from that of the 1990s? Have they truly reformed, or is it more of the same? Our next report has the answers.
September 1996. Taliban fighters breached the defenses of Kabul. As you can see, the pictures are grainy, of a different era. "25 years later, the city would be breached again. By the same Taliban. But this time, the pictures are better. Full HD, as they say. But beyond that, has anything changed? In the 1990s, the Taliban erased women from public life. No schools, no jobs, just a life limited to the burqa. The new regime is no different. Older girls have been stopped from attending schools. What about jobs? Same story. Women have been barred from government jobs, and in the private sector, they are being squeezed out. As for the burqa, the Taliban made it mandatory in June.
Measures such as the suspension of girls' secondary education, severe barriers to employment, no opportunities to participate in political and public life, limits on freedom of movement, association and expression, directives on mahram, enforcing a strict form of hijab and strong advice to stay at home, fit the pattern of absolute gender segregation, and are aimed at making women invisible in society.
The Taliban's hatred for women is only matched by their hatred for minorities, especially the Shia Hazaras. In the first Taliban regime, thousands were hunted and killed. One of the worst episodes came in August 1998. Around 2,000 Hazaras were killed over the span of a few days. Has that hatred toned down? The answer again is no. See, these broken boulders scattered on the ground? They are the remains of a statue. It belonged to Abdul Ali Mazara, a Hazara martyr. The Taliban blew up the statue in their march to power.
Sadly, we believe that the Taliban will wait for the international community to recognize them, and then, because they will have the legitimacy, they will start their oppression with brutality.
Amnesty International has reported at least one instance of targeted killings. It happened in early July 2021. After taking control of the Ghazni province, the Taliban went on a rampage. 9 Hazara men were brutally massacred. 6 of them were shot dead. 3 were tortured to death. This dreaded ministry was like the Taliban's moral police. Afghans have dreadful memories of them. Their vans would sweep through the streets, pick up so-called offenders, and punish them without a trial. The ministry banned music. They imposed a strict version of the Sharia, carried out public executions, whipped people in public, and ordered strict dress codes for women. That same dreaded ministry of vice and virtue is back. And guess which ministry it replaced? The Ministry for Women Empowerment. sums up the Taliban's strategy. They have banned loud music, kite flying, even boxing under the strict interpretation of the Sharia. In the 1990s, the Taliban was a safe haven for terrorists. Osama bin Laden lived here in the dusty caves of Tora Bora. The new Taliban regime is doing more of the same. In fact, they have gone a step further. Bin Laden's successor, Ayman al-Zawahiri, was living here, in an elite neighborhood in Kabul. He was killed in a US drone strike in August. Today, Afghanistan is home to between 180 and 400 Al-Qaeda fighters. According to the UN, they are attached to Taliban units. Sort of like an advisory role.
Al-Zawahiri was given a mansion that belonged to the Al-Haqqani family in a very Tony area, a desirable area of Kabul.
Daily life is routinely threatened by terror attacks. Kabul alone has been hit by 30 attacks. Most of them were carried out by the Islamic State Khorasan province, the Afghan chapter of the Islamic State. The Taliban are locked in a turf war with the Islamic State. But ordinary Afghans pay the price. The first Taliban regime vowed to eradicate opium. To some extent, they succeeded. Opium cultivation plummeted to almost zero by 2000. New regime too promised the same.
Following a decree issued by the Supreme Leader of Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, Hibatullah Khundzada, all Afghans are informed that from now on, cultivation of poppy has been strictly prohibited across the country.
Like all their promises, a failure. In the Helmand and Kandahar provinces, poppy cultivation has risen. The harvest is more than in 2021. In fact, the crop is being openly sold in the southern markets. Poppy has always been a lucrative crop in Afghanistan. It is used to produce opium. The Afghan poppy has long fueled the global drug trade. Total revenue between $1.8 and $2.7 billion. The Taliban's plans to pretend to take action, crack down on paper while taxing the farmers for money is emblematic of their new strategy. All this talk of Taliban 2.0, all these claims of a reformed Taliban, it's the same policies just 20 years later. South Asia Bureau, WION World is One.